Welcome to the FomoShow about TV technology and home theater news. Today's headlines start with the promise of better OLED TV with blue phosphorescent OLED. On paper at least, it promises brighter OLED TVs with even better picture quality, competing with QD OLED. However, the reality is, it's not even working yet, so it looks like it's going to be a few years. We're going to get into that, but there is another type of OLED TV that appears to be coming out later this year. We're talking about the same OLED technology that's found on your phones. RGB OLED is now going to be on TVs, yes, but my only question is whether Sony is already in talks to make this their next flagship OLED TV. And Sony fans, why are you so furious we're calling the Bravia 9 a flagship TV? You don't think so? Today's video is brought to you by WhoKeys. Trying to build a PC on a budget but don't know where to buy your Windows software cheaply? WhoKeys to the rescue. Use my coupon code SF20 and immediate discount with a free upgrade to Windows 11. At the bottom of this order where it says code CARD, to the right is the product key you need to activate Windows. So copy this long number, then go to the Windows menu and click on Settings. In the Settings menu at the bottom, select Update and Security. Select Activation, then select Change Product Key, paste what you copied from WhoKeys, click Next, click Activate, and you're done. You can buy Windows 11 Pro or Office 2019 Pro with my discount code SF20. Yes, I've been using WhoKeys for the last several years on my own PC builds, and it just works. OLED TV fans, like myself, have been anxiously awaiting for the arrival of blue phosphorescent OLED. Now currently we're using fluorescent OLED, fluorescent blue OLED, right? It is an older type of chemical for OLED TVs. We already are currently using red phosphorescent and green phosphorescent OLED. All that's left was to get blue from fluorescent to phosphorescent. Phosphorescent gives you a brighter, more pure image, so to speak. But unfortunately, this blue phosphorescent OLED promised to arrive in 2024. Not happening. Why not? Simply put, it is just too unstable. The lifetime, when it is working and looks great, is too short. I mean, you do want your TV to last longer than 6 months, right? And so that's the issue. Even though UDC, this is the maker of the blue phosphorescent OLED we've been waiting for, UDC reiterates its position that we will be ready to commercialize blue phosphorescent OLED by the end of 2024. I don't think so. The way things are going, it looks more like 2025. And again, the initial implementations will be on smaller panels like smartphones and tablets, maybe even on a laptop, not TVs yet. And so on the original timeline, I was thinking, based on this, we're probably predicting at earliest 2026, maybe 2027. But looking at how far off they are from a stable blue phosphorescent OLED, maybe 2028 or 2029. So don't hold your breath. But hold on. Alternatively, let's put blue phosphorescent OLED aside. How about RGB direct view OLED? Specifically, inkjet printed RGB OLED. Yes, that actually is coming this year. And the two makers, the two suppliers are JDI, otherwise known as Japan Display, right? They've used ELEAP, ELEAP. ELEAP is a manufacturing process for RGB OLED that makes it a little bit brighter, a little bit better, and more importantly, can it be used for TVs? Maybe it's already happening because the other supplier of RGB OLED is TCL, CSOT. Specifically, if you remember maybe back in January around CES, TCL announced that they're ready to go with their inkjet printed RGB OLED solution with panels for TVs up to 75 inches ready by the end of 2024. So what makes RGB OLED better or superior possibly to current LG's WOLED technology, the oldest one, and then Samsung's own QD OLED technology, recently announced in 2021 and being used on the S95D this year, as well as the Sony A95L from last year. So QD OLED is the latest entrant, but by the end of the year, we might have a third entry into the OLED panel battles, and that would be TCL's RGB inkjet printed OLED. They are promising, are you ready for this? About 2000 nits of peak brightness, very similar to what we're getting from the G3 and G4, and around 300 nits full screen brightness, similar to what we're getting from QD OLED. So this is a very competitive product, and I'm thinking with even better color coverage, right? 90% BT 2020. You would think this would be the perfect technology for a flagship TV, and as suggested earlier, if Sony is looking to make that jump, separating itself from Samsung and LG, they should be giving TCL CSOT a call. Hey, send us over some samples. Let's see if next year Sony can separate itself from Panasonic, LG, and Samsung with RGB OLED TVs. I'm pretty excited about the possibility, especially if it passes Sony's very rigorous Master Series testing for its flagship TVs, because this year we know the flagship TV is the Bravia 9, a mini LED LCD TV. Next year, back to OLED flagship. Could it be inkjet printed RGB OLED, TCL as the supplier? Or will they go back to Samsung Display's 4th generation now, QD OLED? Or maybe they're going to give LG Display a chance, resurrecting WOLED as its flagship. I think this third option, not likely, because we know its color luminance is limited. So let's take LG Display's WOLED off the list. I'm hoping it's between QD OLED and inkjet printed RGB OLED. Let me know what you think. You think Sony should go towards this new OLED technology, just like they did when they embraced QD OLED with the A95K? Maybe next year's Bravia 10 could embrace RGB OLED. Why not? Choose the best supplier out there, right? Speaking of 2024 Sony flagship TVs, the Bravia 9 is that TV this year. It is not OLED. It is an LCD TV with mini LED backlighting that is probably the most advanced mini LED LCD TV you can buy this year. The Bravia 9 is its flagship, and that's the controversy. A lot of Sony fans are saying, wait, this is not a real flagship. It's not an OLED. And so I have to disagree. It doesn't have to be, quote unquote, an OLED TV to be a flagship. It just has to be excellent and the best in its class. What is its class? HDR TV cinema experience. Why do I say it's the best? Because no OLED can offer an accurate HDR impact if the source is asking for, let's say, 3000, 4000 peak brightness. You're not going to get it from any OLED TV, but you can get closer with the Bravia 9. That does deliver closer to a creator's intent, if the creator's intent is HDR impact closer to 4000 nits. Right now, you're not getting it from any TV, but the Bravia 9 gets you closer. Does that not make it a flagship TV, being the best at what it does? Now, if you're telling me, no, you got to be with shadow detail and these dark scenes, they're already there, right? Whether it's the A95L, whether it's the G4, the G3, right? All these TVs can do it okay. Even an LCD TV will give you shadow detail. What I'm talking about is more difficult. Those bright scenes where you don't want to tone map it yet. You want to get as much of that natural native luminance as possible without tone mapping for content up to 4000 nits. That's what I'm talking about, because they matched the Bravia 9 against their brand new reference monitor capable of 4000 nits. And I know it's not the same technology. I got it. But the fact that they're trying to get TVs as close to that monitor as possible is a start, and this Bravia 9 gets you closer than any other TV. So if you're not yet convinced that the Bravia 9 is a flagship TV from Sony, I can't help you, but it's been done by other brands before. Samsung, even this year, it's an LCD TV that it's its flagship. It's the 8K QN 900D, flagship TV, not an OLED, right? Only LG this year has OLED as its flagship TV. This year, Sony's focusing on the Bravia 9 as being its flagship, but in prior years, Sony has done it before. The Z9K, 8K LCD TV, that's a flagship TV. So I don't know why people are so caught up in this. It can't be flagship unless it's OLED. It's a flagship. Accept it. But here's the critical part. How does it compare to the competition? Well, we have some estimates as to how many dimming zones the Bravia 9 might have. Looking at these estimated calculations, it looks like the Bravia 9 has around maybe 1440 dimming zones, over 1400. That's a good sign. What about the TCL? It looks like the TCL 8 series, right? Based on the 8 series out in Europe, They're saying 1344 dimming zones, close enough, right? Plus or minus 100 dimming zones, that's fine. And what about the Hisense U8N? They're at 1600 dimming zones, a little bit more, doesn't make a big difference. So you have 3 TVs all offering around similar dimming zones. This is the first time a Sony 65-inch flagship anything LCD TV has offered the same dimming zone count as the best from China. I can't believe I'm saying this, right? What about Samsung? I think Samsung on the QN95C or 95D this year, they're kind of given up on the dimming zone battle. I mean, they've been around there for a while now. They need to work on other things, but ultimately Samsung has settled on performance that's this. Deep blacks, but they're willing to dim the specular highlights to preserve that black level. The Bravia 9 is promising that specular highlight will be higher than the QN95D, but black levels will be low, like the 95D. They're trying to break through that compromise, right? Because with the LCD TV with dimming zones, you have to make a choice. Deep blacks like OLED, but you need to crush those specular highlights just a bit, just dim it down to get those black levels, or hit those specular highlights, but in return, you have a little bit of blooming around the specular highlights, and Samsung was not willing to give up black levels for specular highlights. They dimmed it a little bit, gave you that OLED-like blacks. With Hisense and TCL, they want those specular highlights, but there may be a touch more blooming here and there, on previous generations at least. This year, we'll see how Sony's best processor with their amazing precision dimming calibrated to the mini LED and the dimming zones so that you have 22 bits of brightness to control the blooming while managing to get better specular highlights. How does this software superiority compare to TCL and Hisense? I can't wait to test that because we already know Samsung, specular highlights, forget it, don't worry about it. I mean, we saw in the QN900D, right? Their 8K flagship, they gave up a little bit of that specular highlight to have perfect blooming control, which is great, but can the Bravia 9 do better? And can the Hisense and the TCL this year also do better? We'll be comparing that, and the good news is, guess what's coming this weekend? The Hisense U8N. I'll put my reviews up here so you can see it. Maybe I'll get a live stream out of it. But let me know in the comments below, how excited are you for this year's flagship mini LED TVs? Bravia 9 between $3,000 and $5,000, or the Hisense TCL value mini LED flagships at much less? Or are you still an OLED fan? Until next time, stop the FOMO.